So I've been a photographer for about 6 years now, and over my time, I've done some really stupid stuff, made some really embarrassing mistakes, and made a bit of a fool of myself sometimes. So today I thought it would kind of be funny to tell you some of those stories and see if you kind of get as good of a laugh as I did out of some of them. I'm gonna tell you some very embarrassing stories, and hopefully that'll prevent you from looking as foolish or as dumb as I did. And I mean, it's all a learning experience. I guarantee you, I never repeated the same thing twice. So hopefully, by hearing my stories, you'll learn something too and won't make the same mistakes that I did. All right, let's go tell some embarrassing stories. Welcome to the Confessions of a Bad Photographer. Cheers. Let's go. All right, so before we get started today, you gotta make me 2 promises. 1, don't roast me too hard in the comments for these. I know I'm an idiot, but take it easy on me. And 2, if you've ever made one of these mistakes or a different mistake or something even more embarrassing, you gotta let me know in the comments so I feel like I'm not the only one who does stupid stuff like this all the time. All right, so we're gonna start off pretty easy. A mistake that I'm sure a few people have made, not only myself, but I one time went on a trip. Not the whole trip, but just one day. For whatever reason, I was experimenting with my camera the night before, and I accidentally switched my camera from RAW to JPEG. So that meant the next day, when I didn't notice, I shot the entire day in JPEG. I was on vacation in Europe, and I got some really banger shots. And when I went to import them that night, I realized that they were all shot in JPEG. And I took a lot of like sunset photos and photos with like kind of this bright orangey sky in the background. And I wasn't really as good of a photographer back then, so I wasn't really exposing the sky properly to begin with, but I overexposed the sky in every single photo. And I was always like, it's in RAW, I'll bring it back in post. Spoiler alert, I did not bring it back in post. So that one kind of sucked, but wasn't the end of the world. Definitely a bit of a learning experience. I always just triple check my settings before going out on an important shoot these days. So definitely learned from that one. Another really dumb thing I did, and this is probably one of the most embarrassing things I've ever done in my photography career. It kills me that I'm actually going to admit this, but for probably a year and a half, maybe even 2 years, something in that ballpark. When I first started photography, I was always preaching, you have to shoot in RAW. Listen, Peter McKinnon told me to shoot in RAW, you have to shoot in RAW. I was always preaching that you have to shoot in RAW, not in JPEG. But what I didn't realize that I was actually doing is I was shooting in RAW. So I was taking my photos in RAW, and I was using all of the space on my SD card on my computer that a RAW file takes, which is much more. If you don't know what I'm talking about, click here. This is a video I made, RAW versus JPEG. A little bit of information. Anyways, what I was actually doing was shooting in RAW on my camera, importing them from my camera to my Photos application on my MacBook, and they were RAW in there. But what I didn't realize at the time was instead of pressing export and exporting the unmodified original, so the actual CR2 files, the RAW files, I was drag and dropping them from my library where they were RAW into a folder on my desktop to then import into Lightroom. And I was actually converting them to JPEG. So for a good year and a half at least, I was actually shooting all my photos in RAW, but editing them in JPEG. And when I finally realized, it shattered my heart, because there was some photos and I'm like, wow, I really thought I would be able to bring back some of these details in the background. I mean, I shot it in RAW. I did in fact shoot it in RAW, but I accidentally converted them to JPEG every single time for a year and a half. I'm not even kidding. That's probably my most embarrassing story as a photographer, so you're welcome. Okay, so now moving on to other dumb things I've done. I once drove all the way to a shoot. Luckily, this wasn't like a client shoot, but it was a photo shoot that I wanted to go on. I packed all my gear. I was kind of filming a YouTube video on the way. It was like one of my first vlogs, and I got all the way to the location, which wasn't that bad, but it was about maybe like a 25-minute drive. When I got there, I realized that I did not have the SD card in my camera. So got the classic no card in camera on my first attempt to shoot. Broke my heart again, had to drive home and get it and come back. And by the time I came back, it was, the weather had changed a lot and it was like a lot harder conditions to film in, but I pushed through and I did it. So that one kind of sucked, but didn't really affect anyone else but myself, but that was a bummer. One other thing I did was I switched to manual focus for a specific shot. I don't even remember why. And then forgot to switch back to automatic focus for, I don't know, maybe like 30 minutes. Don't ask me how I didn't notice. I know you're gonna see on your screen and hear the little, you're gonna hear the autofocus beeping and clicking. No idea how I didn't notice, but all my photos from that next hour, again, in Europe, were out of focus. Brutal. I'm trying to think of other things. Yeah, one time I was on a hike in Portugal and it was this incredible off the grid hike, and it was probably one of the coolest sceneries I've ever seen in my life. So at some point during the day on this hike, I was reapplying sunscreen, and I guess I spilt some sunscreen on my lens, or I got it on my hand and I smudged my lens. I didn't notice. It was super bright outside, so like you couldn't really see the LCD screen. I was like sweating a lot, so I wasn't really framing my photos as much as I was kind of just pointing and shooting. And then I got home, and the second half of this incredible, beautiful hike, I'll show you a few photos from this actual hike that I took on like my iPhone or before the sunscreen incident. But then all of my photos after that all had this massive sunscreen splotch in the top right, and it ruined the photo. There was no saving them. So that one was definitely a bummer. I once accidentally deleted an entire YouTube video by formatting my SD card by accident. Basically, I thought I had filmed the video on my camera. I thought I had imported it into my computer so I can edit it. And then I was out taking photos later that same day or the next day, and I got the card full sign. So I was like, oh, I gotta delete some photos. So I was deleting a few photos that I didn't like or that didn't come out well. And then I saw the video and I was like, oh, I imported this last night. Deleted the video. Basically, I think I actually ended up formatting my entire card because I was like, oh, I don't need any of this. And realized that that was an entire like 20-minute, pretty good, actually quality YouTube video that I had filmed. Deleted the whole thing. So I had to go home, I had to refilm it. And the second time, as it always does, it didn't come out as good as I thought it did the first time. So that was definitely a learning experience. Another thing I actually did like last week is I was filming a YouTube video. So you're on my camera right now. I always get up, I press record, I sit down and I talk to the camera. I don't know how, I didn't realize that I sat here talking for about 25, 30 minutes, yapping away at the camera, and I realized I never actually pressed record. Don't know how it happened. Brutal, because then I had to go back and sit there for another 25 minutes and go over everything I just said. Again, that one sucked. I'm trying to think of other dumb things. Oh yeah, once I didn't plug in my microphone. This is when I had a Rode mic on top of my camera, and it kind of slides into the mount, like where a flash would go, and then you plug it into the side of your camera. Realized I never actually plugged it in fully. It was kind of just like sitting in there. So I recorded an entire video on my camera's quality and had to do this horrible voiceover. Yeah, that one sucked too. I think that's it. I mean, I definitely have some more embarrassing stories, but I mean, those are the majority of the really, really bad ones. So why I'm telling you all these stories, and the point is, people make mistakes. I mean, like I said, I've never actually, to my recollection, repeated any of these mistakes. So that's the point, is if you make mistakes, you screw up, it happens all the time. Don't worry about it. Learn from your mistakes and don't do them again. Now that I'm telling you these, again, you have to drop a funny story in the comments because I'm really interested to see if any of you have made some similar mistakes, anything like that. But learning from your mistakes is a part of the game. It makes you a better photographer, a better videographer. Any craft, you're gonna make mistakes, but that's how you learn, is you don't repeat the mistakes. Make the mistakes, learn from them, and you'll get better every day. There you go. That was rough. But if you learned something from this video, if you like this kind of content and other photography videos, check out some of my other videos. And if you want to support me on Instagram at Sneaky Lens, that's where all my photography is. It's always appreciated when you check me out over there. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.